my heart breaks for Sharon. She's a wonderful lady. And I think that Ozzy, I think the manner of his departure, the scale of the mourners that came out, and almost part mourning and part celebrating this amazing guy's life.
A rock legend's funeral became a scene of chaos. Sharon Osbourne collapsed mid-ceremony. The sight shattered her friend, Piers Morgan.
They didn't pretend to be perfect human beings. They embraced their flaws. They were very open and candid about stuff that went wrong.
He wept openly, a rare moment of vulnerability. We all think this was about overwhelming grief for Ozzy. Truth be told, that's not the entire picture. A stunning medical emergency was unfolding, one that Sharon had kept hidden for months. You won't believe the diagnosis. It's a battle far more terrifying than anything the Osbournes have faced before, and it explains the true reason for Piers Morgan's desperate tears. A friend's worst nightmare. The day was July 29, 2025. The air in Birmingham was heavy. Thousands gathered to honor Ozzy Osbourne. They lined the streets. They mourned the Prince of Darkness. Friends, family, and rock royalty filled the church. It was a somber, beautiful ceremony. Famous faces were everywhere. Members of Metallica and Guns N' Roses were there. They came to pay their respects. Everyone was focused on the stage. A giant portrait of Ozzy hung there. Sharon Osbourne sat in the front row. She was dressed in black. She looked poised but incredibly fragile. For nearly 50 years, she was Ozzy's rock. Now she sat alone. Her children, Kelly, Jack, and Amy, were beside her. They formed a tight, protective circle. Piers Morgan sat a few rows behind them. He was there as a close friend. He had known the family for decades. He watched Sharon with a heavy heart. He knew how much she was suffering. The service was deeply emotional. Stories of Ozzy's wild life were told, laughter mixed with tears. Gene Simmons from Kiss shared a memory. He spoke of Ozzy's wicked sense of humor. He said Ozzy never pretended to be perfect. The music began to play. It was "Mama, I'm Coming Home." The sound filled the huge church. It was Ozzy's own voice, a powerful, haunting melody. That's when it happened. Sharon suddenly stood up. She looked towards Ozzy's casket. A gasp was heard from the front row. Her body trembled violently. Her eyes rolled back. Then she collapsed onto the floor. Chaos erupted. Kelly and Jack rushed to their mother's side. Security moved in quickly. The music stopped. A chilling silence fell over the crowd. Everyone was in shock. Their grief for Ozzy was replaced by fear for Sharon. Piers Morgan leaped from his seat. He pushed through the stunned crowd. His face was a mask of pure horror. He reached the front row. He saw Sharon lying motionless on the ground. Paramedics were already working on her. That's when Piers broke. The tough, controversial journalist began to weep. Not quiet tears, these were gut-wrenching sobs. He doubled over, overcome with emotion. The cameras caught it all. A man completely undone by his friend's plight. Truth be told, no one had seen him like this. He was always in control. Now he was completely vulnerable. He looked helpless. He watched as paramedics put an oxygen mask on Sharon. They carefully lifted her onto a stretcher. As they carried her out, something fell from her hand. A small, crumpled piece of paper. Piers noticed it. A security guard quickly picked it up. He glanced at it before putting it in his pocket. Piers' tear-streaked face now had a new emotion. Confusion. What was on that piece of paper? The mystery of Sharon's collapse had just begun. But to understand why this moment shattered him, we have to go back. We need to look at the epic love story that defined a generation. The Manager and the Madman. Sharon and Ozzy's love story is legendary. It was not a fairy tale, it was a battle, a 50-year war against the world and against their own demons. They first met when Sharon was just 18. Her father, Don Arden, managed Black Sabbath. Ozzy was the band's wild frontman. He was brilliant but deeply troubled. There was something in his chaos that drew Sharon in. It was a connection that would define both of their lives. Believe it or not, their story truly started with a disaster. In 1979, Ozzy was fired from Black Sabbath. His addictions had made him unreliable. His career seemed over. Most people wrote him off. But Sharon saw something others didn't. She saw the talent buried under the pain. She took him on as a client. She became his manager. But she quickly became so much more. She became his lifeline. She single-handedly resurrected his career. Ozzy's solo albums like Blizzard of Oz were massive hits. He became bigger than ever before. This was all thanks to Sharon's fierce belief in him. They married in 1982. From that day on, their lives were a roller coaster. There were incredible highs, and there were terrifying lows. Ozzy's struggle with alcohol and drugs was constant. It nearly tore them apart countless times. There were violent fights, there were bitter betrayals. At the end of the day, their love was stronger. Sharon never gave up on him. She once said she fought to keep a wild soul intact. She fought for the artist she adored. He broke her heart again and again, yet she always found a way to forgive. She once admitted Ozzy nearly died over a dozen times, from overdoses, accidents, and his eventual illness. Each time, she was the one who pulled him back from the brink. This wasn't weakness, it was a ferocious, powerful love, a love most people can't comprehend. The world got a glimpse of their life on The Osbournes. The reality show became a global phenomenon in the early 2000s. It showed Ozzy, the rock god, as a mumbling, loving father. It showed Sharon as the powerful matriarch. The show revealed a family that was dysfunctional yet full of love. It made them more famous than ever. It also put immense pressure on their lives. Then came the final battle. In 2020, Ozzy was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. The disease slowly stole his strength. It ravaged his body. But Sharon stood by him. She held his hand and faced the world. She was his voice when he couldn't speak. She was his strength when he couldn't stand. She cared for him tirelessly for 5 years. She put her entire life on hold. Their love in these final years was deeper than ever. They were two halves of the same soul. He couldn't live without her, and she couldn't live without him. This is why her collapse at his funeral felt so final. It was as if one half of a soul was trying to follow the other. But there was another deep bond at play that day, a friendship that explained Piers Morgan's shocking reaction, a bond forged in the spotlight. Piers Morgan and Sharon Osbourne are an unlikely pair. He is a controversial British journalist. She is a rock and roll matriarch. But their friendship is one of the strongest in showbiz. It's a bond that goes back more than 20 years. It was forged not in rock clubs, but on television. They were both judges on America's Got Talent. For 5 seasons, they traveled across the country together. They spent countless hours side by side. During that time, they became incredibly close. It was more than just a work relationship. Piers saw the real Sharon, not the tough manager or the TV personality. He saw the loving wife, the fiercely protective mother. He saw her incredible loyalty. He often said she was one of the kindest people he knew. She was also one of the funniest. He saw her as family, and the feeling was mutual. Ozzy would often join them. Piers got to know the rock legend personally. They would have long dinners together. Piers saw the deep love between Sharon and Ozzy firsthand. He witnessed their jokes and their arguments. He saw how they couldn't be apart. He once told a story about Kelly and her boyfriend. They mooned Piers, Sharon, and Ozzy through a restaurant window. Sharon and Ozzy were furious. Then Ozzy burst out laughing. He realized his kids were just like him. Piers saw the real, loving family behind the crazy headlines. This deep friendship is why Piers was so broken. He wasn't just watching a celebrity collapse, he was watching his dear friend's world fall apart. A friend he loved like a sister. He knew Sharon had dedicated her entire adult life to Ozzy. She had saved him time and time again. Now her life's purpose was gone. Piers felt her pain as if it were his own. His tears were not for the cameras, they were real. They were for his friend. Their bond was tested many times. Piers stood by Sharon during her public controversies, and she stood by him during his. They had an unspoken pact. They would always have each other's backs. That's a rare thing in the world of entertainment. That kind of loyalty is priceless. When Piers saw Sharon fall, he saw that loyalty tested. He saw a woman who had given everything, a woman who now had nothing left to hold on to. His heart broke for her. It broke for her kids. It broke for the end of an era. He knew better than most that Sharon's life would never be the same. The loss of Ozzy was like losing the sun, and now he feared he was watching Sharon fade into darkness too. But as the world reeled from the shocking event, whispers began to circulate. The story of a simple collapse from grief started to unravel. The mystery of the note. When something this public happens, questions arise. People start to wonder, was it really just grief that made Sharon collapse, or was there something more? For many watching, it felt like something was missing, a key detail that could explain it all. The thing is, when you dig deeper, the simple story falls apart. You start to see clues that point to a much darker reality. Let's go back to that moment. The moment Sharon fainted. The moment that note fell from her hand. The security guard who picked it up was an ex-military man. He had worked for the family for 20 years. He was known for his discretion. Eyewitnesses near the front row claimed he looked shocked. He quickly hid the paper. What could have been written on it? Was it a final, secret message from Ozzy? A message so powerful it knocked her unconscious? Then there are the paramedic reports. Of course, they are confidential, but sources close to the first responders tell a different story. They say it wasn't a standard faint. Her vital signs were dangerously erratic. One paramedic was overheard saying something strange. This looks like a reaction to medication. What medication? Was Sharon secretly battling her own illness? A condition she hid from the world? It would explain a lot. It would explain the severity of the collapse. Let's think about this like an average person would. A 50-year love affair ends. The grief would be crushing. It could absolutely cause a collapse. But think about Sharon. This is a woman who has endured everything: addiction, betrayal, cancer, and constant public scrutiny. She has always been a fighter, the pillar of strength. For her to crumble so completely feels different. It feels like there's another layer to the story. Are we missing a key piece of the puzzle? Some insiders have a different theory. They say it relates to Ozzy's final days. He was reportedly writing a new will. A will that contained a shocking secret. A secret that would change the family's future forever. Could Sharon have learned this secret just before the funeral? Could the shock have been too much to bear? It connects the dots, the timing, the extreme reaction, the mysterious note. It all starts to make a terrifying kind of sense. All of this is, of course, speculation, but it makes you wonder if we ever truly know the people we see on our screens. The truth is often more complex than we imagine. The story of that day might not be over. It may just be the beginning of a new tragic chapter for the Osbourne family. Rising from the ashes. In the days following the funeral, the world held its breath. Sharon Osbourne was released from the hospital after 48 hours. The official statement cited extreme exhaustion and grief. The family asked for privacy. The note was never mentioned again. The whispers about a secret illness or a hidden will faded. They were replaced by an outpouring of love and support. The focus returned to what was most important: the legacy of Ozzy Osbourne and the resilience of his family. Ozzy's life was a testament to survival, from a poor kid in Birmingham to a global icon. He battled demons his entire life, But he never gave up. His music was his salvation. It inspired millions. His legacy isn't just in the albums, it's in the story of a man who fought and won, a man who, with the help of his family, found peace. The Osbourne family has proven its strength time and again. Jack Osbourne battled multiple sclerosis. Kelly Osbourne has faced her own public struggles. They learned from their parents. They learned to be fighters. They will now rally around their mother. They will help her navigate this impossible new reality. They are the living embodiment of Ozzy's spirit. Piers Morgan's public breakdown showed a different side of him. It reminded people that behind the headlines are real human beings, with real friendships and real pain. His tears were a tribute to a 50-year love story and to his own deep bond with the Osbourne family. In the end, what happened at the funeral was a moment of profound human emotion. It was grief, love, and fear all at once. Whether there are deeper secrets or not, one thing is certain. The love that held the Osbourne family together is the same love that will see them through this darkness. Ozzy is gone, but his legacy, carried by his family, is immortal. What do you think really happened that day? Was it just grief, or is a darker family secret still waiting to be revealed? Let us know below. Like and subscribe for more.